The Horn of Africa is becoming one of the most strategically important regions in the world today. At the heart of this attention is Somaliland, a stable and relatively peaceful territory that sits on the Gulf of Aden, one of the busiest maritime routes on Earth. Its location gives it control over the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, a critical choke point connecting the Red Sea to the Indian Ocean. This is a passageway through which billions of dollars of trade flow every year, including energy shipments and high-value goods. When Israel begins to quietly strengthen ties with Somaliland, the implications are far more than local. It becomes a matter of global geopolitics. And one country that pays close attention to such shifts is China. China's interest in the Horn of Africa is primarily strategic and economic. Nearly all Chinese exports to Europe, the Middle East, and Africa pass through the Red Sea and the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. Any country gaining influence along this route can indirectly affect China's global trade and shipping security. Somaliland's location makes it a key piece of this puzzle. If Israel establishes strong relations there, China worries that the balance of influence in this crucial corridor could shift away from its control. China has invested heavily across Africa through its Belt and Road Initiative. Ports, roads, railways, and industrial infrastructure built by China serve both commercial and strategic purposes. In Djibouti, just a few hundred kilometers from Somaliland, China has established its first overseas military base. This base allows Beijing to protect its trade, monitor maritime movements, and secure a presence in the Red Sea. However, an Israeli-friendly Somaliland could act as a new hub for Western-aligned intelligence and military activity. From Beijing's perspective, this would reduce its freedom to operate in the region and challenge its dominance. Diplomacy is another concern. China maintains close ties with many Arab and Muslim-majority countries that traditionally support Somalia's claim over Somaliland. China officially recognizes Somalia and backs its position against Somaliland's independence. A strong Israel-Somaliland connection could inspire other nations to rethink their recognition policies. This would weaken the diplomatic environment China relies on, where Somaliland remains largely isolated, and Somalia is the primary recognized authority. Technology and intelligence capabilities also factor into China's concerns. Israel is a global leader in cybersecurity, surveillance, and advanced military technology. If Israeli systems or cooperation extend to Somaliland, China could face increased monitoring of its naval operations and shipping traffic. For a nation like China, which relies on secure and uninterrupted maritime trade, this is a strategic challenge. A new intelligence node near one of the world's most important sea routes could significantly shift the regional power balance. The broader geopolitical picture also matters. The United States, Israel, and several Gulf countries are developing new security partnerships to counter regional threats and secure maritime trade. Somaliland could become a critical link in this network. For China, which prefers a relatively uncontested presence in Africa and the Middle East, the idea of a Western-aligned corridor running from the Mediterranean through the Red Sea and into the Indian Ocean is, well, pretty troubling. It limits China's options and forces it to rethink its regional strategy. Economically, China has significant investments in East African ports and infrastructure. A stronger, internationally recognized Somaliland backed by Israel could attract Western investments and reduce China's leverage. Competition over ports, shipping infrastructure, and logistics networks could intensify, making it harder for China to secure favorable economic deals. Losing influence in Somaliland could have cascading effects on China's trade dominance in the region. Finally, there is the question of global perception and influence. China has promoted a narrative of being a major power in the global south, while limiting Western and Israeli influence. The emergence of Somaliland on the international stage, aided by Israeli connections, could challenge this narrative. It would show that smaller regions can gain strategic importance and recognition outside of China's diplomatic framework. For Beijing, this is a challenge not only to its political interests, but also to its global image as a dominant power broker. In summary, the Israel-Somaliland connection is far more than a regional story. It touches on global trade, military balance, intelligence capabilities, economic competition, and the future of influence in the Red Sea. China may not openly confront this shift, but behind the scenes, it is watching closely, calculating each move, and considering its next steps. In today's world, control of strategic geography often translates into power, and Somaliland's location makes it one of the most strategically significant regions that, honestly, few fully appreciate. As Israel strengthens its presence and builds partnerships, the world will see shifts that could change the balance of influence, not only in the Horn of Africa, but across the global maritime network.